Hi everyone, welcome to the second video of Module 1. In this video, I want to highlight again some of the things from your reading specifically about the food system and food systems. So comparing the modern food system to the traditional food system, and then start to offer up a way to conceptualize and define what food systems or what a food system is. So the first slide that I wanted to present is from your Beardsworth reading, and I like this because it offers a visual depiction of a comparison between traditional food systems and modern food systems based on production, distribution, consumption, and beliefs. So starting with production, we can think about traditional food systems as really being small scale and limited versus our modern day food system, the modern industrial global food system, as large scale and highly specialized and industrialized. Again, in a traditional system, the production was locally based, except for luxury goods. And now we live in a food system where food is really delocalized and quite global. The majority of the food system, the majority of people are eating from this delocalized and global food system. It's worth noting that the traditional food system, we're really talking about in terms of years. The break is in like the 1930s when concepts like Fordism and industrialization really took hold and then was adapted to the food system. And you'll read a little bit more about that later in the semester. So then in terms of distribution, in a traditional food system, food was really within local boundaries and exchanged, was governed by kinship and other social networks. And today we have really international and global access, and it's governed by money, really by money and markets. Again, we'll get to talk more about those concepts later in this semester. Consumption in a traditional food system really swung between plenty and want, depending on the harvest, how good the harvest was, and what the season was offering. Today, in our globalized industrial food system, food is always available at a price independent of the season. So if you live in the Northeast, you can usually get an avocado, for example, regardless of what the season is, if you have the money to pay for it. So consumption is really very different between the traditional and the modern food system. So again, another differentiating characteristic in terms of consumption is that choice is limited and dependent on availability and status, and nutritional inequalities within societies existed in traditional food system. Today, choice is really, as I was saying, about who can pay for different and diversified food items. So then lastly, on the bottom here, we have beliefs. And in a traditional food system, and this is really generally speaking, but in a traditional food system, humans, it was human kind of exceptionalism and human domination. So this thought that humans were at the top of the chain and exploitation of environmental resources was really necessary. Today, in the modern food system, there is a debate, and thankfully so, in terms of really what the environmental sustainability of our current food system is. And there's really growing science to suggest that the way that the modern industrial food system is, the way that it's constructed is really not sustainable, and that we can do a better job with regard to how we get our food and the way that we think about food and how it's related to the environment and our health. So just some characteristics, some key characteristics that distinguish a traditional food system versus our modern food system. Now, the next thing I wanted to highlight is a definition of the food system. I brought one here. This is from the Cornell Cooperative Extension, and it's really a very simple starting point when it comes to defining the food system. So a food system is the path that food travels from field to fork. It includes the growing, harvesting, processing, packaging, transporting, marketing, consuming, and disposing of food. It also includes the inputs needed and outputs generated at each step. A food system operates within and is influenced by social, economic, and natural environments. Each step is also dependent on human resources. So again, as you know from the reading, or you will know from the reading, food system is a very complex web of relationships, including many, many components. But this is just a really simple offering in terms of a definition. And then I also have this infographic from the Agricultural Sustainability Institute at UC Davis to show at its basic level, a food system has food production, processing, distribution, retail and market, consumption, and then waste recovery. However, again, from your reading from Neff and Lawrence, we know that the food system has many, many components and is influenced by a number of different processes. So here in this visual, we can see just how much more complicated the elements are, from farming, economic, social, and then environmental inputs. And then just to offer up even one more kind of layered picture of the food system, here is an image of the global food system. So I offer these last two, actually each one of these, to just start to show how complex the relationships are in the food system, and what the components and what those components are. And for you to start to think about, to start to put the pieces together in terms of what the food system is comprised of, and just how many scales, the food system and food systems are present at.